Okay, take us further into your life. Now you graduate college.
I did. And I graduated and I was going to go to med school, but I had met this soldier from Fort Hood. So coming from a military family, meeting a soldier was great for me. It was a life that I understood. I fell in love, and he was getting orders to Fort Benning, Georgia. So I was like, I'm cool with traveling. I can go wherever.
I'm used to it.
But what do you do about med school? Because I'd gotten an opportunity that could go to med school in the San Antonio. It was the San Antonio area. And it was a program that you kind of do 3 months before med school starts, and then you do this. Or the love of my life moves to Georgia. What do I do?
You moved with the love of your life.
I moved. But I didn't move in with him. Because we kind of tried it a little bit where we lived up by Fort Hood for a couple months. And that just wasn't what I wanted.
Mm-hmm.
And my parents were kind of like, I don't know about doing that. So when we moved to Georgia, I moved to Atlanta, Georgia, Marietta, and he was down in Fort Benning, which is about an hour and 23 minutes away.
Okay.
So I had my own apartment, and I had determined that though I wasn't going to go to med school, I was going to start working on my master's. So I was like, I still knew I wanted to be helping people. My undergrad degree was from Baylor in Neuro Science.
Okay.
So I was the first. There was me and one other girl. Her name is Bevan Nevins. And we were the first 2 neuroscience graduates.
Really?
So, yeah.
Congratulations.
Yeah, that's amazing.
So, but it was like, what do you do with it? If you don't go to med school, you know, there was research areas, but I was like, do I want to be a psychologist?
Mm-hmm.
What do I want to do? I was like, I want to help people. I want to make sure I'm helping people. So I started working on my master's out in Atlanta, but I needed money. Like, I was tired of being broke in college. So I got a job. I applied for this job at a bank. And I would say this is the first time I learned some life lessons, fun life lessons, like who life was. Living in the military is very strict, disciplined life. People don't give you all their true colors. Living in Atlanta, I saw it all because I got a job and I trained for SunTrust Bank, and all of the SunTrust banks were inside of Publix grocery stores, and they were opening this brand new Publix grocery store with a SunTrust Bank that I was going to be at in it's called Ansley District, which is the gay district in Atlanta. But nobody told me. Like, nobody told me. So I trained for 3 months, and then they're like store opening, and it's like got all these rainbow colors everywhere, and I thought it was just the
bright.
I thought it was just like super happy. Didn't catch on. I go in, and like the bakery was kind of right by us, and they have rainbow cupcakes everywhere. So love cupcakes. Buy some cupcakes, put them up by my station. Still don't know. Gorgeous men would walk in, and it'd be like a really hot guy, and then another hot. I'm like, man, everybody's in such great shape here. It's so awesome. And I just didn't get it. And about day 3, my manager, who was gay, and I didn't realize it because I didn't know people were quite that open with it, he finally comes over and he goes, Kimberly, he goes, you do know that you're advertising. And I go, what am I advertising? I'm like checking my clothes. And he said, the cupcakes. And I go, I don't get it. He goes, the rainbow. And I go, still don't get it. And he said, the rainbow means that you're a lesbian. And I was like, what? So he explained to me that the rainbow was for the gay lesbian community.
Right.
And I was like, well, I came from Texas, and there was nothing at that time because this was, early 95, 96.
Yeah.
There was nothing out.
Right.
And I was like, are you sure? I was like, did y'all steal the rainbow? And we didn't know? And he was like, I promise you. And I learned a culture, and I'm not non-judgmental.
Yeah.
I am open to everything, but I learned such a culture and richness and met amazing people for the first year, about a half a year that I worked there. And it was just like eyes open.
Right.
Like,
learning a lot
and meeting a lot of different people. And I used to say funny stories because at the bank, always look at the person, not their ID. Because somebody would hand me an ID and they're Mr., but they're Mrs. when they show up. And you have to look closely because you'd have to stop and say, they might say Vernon on their ID, but they're Vernice. And they prefer to be Vernice. And so,
even then.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. Because you cannot legally change your driver's license, Social Security without a lot of paper trail.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of people will still have IDs that are of a different gender. And just learning to figure out who do people want to be. And that's who you address them as. And that was a huge thing for me just in working with people and understanding, meet them where they are, not where you want them to be.
Yeah.
So I really enjoyed that.
So how did the love of your life, tell us, he is now
love of that moment. The love of that moment.
Okay.
Like, not of my life.
How many moments?
Believe it or not, 6 years.
Whoa, that's a lot. That's a big moment.
Did you get married?
We did not.
Did not get married?
We did not. So he
Engaged?
no, we weren't. We were. It's just boyfriend. He was a great guy. He was a great guy. He was probably not the right guy, but I wanted to make it. Remember, I'm a perfectionist, so I wanted to make it right. He was from Illinois, wonderful person. He was deployed a lot. So I got a chance to find me and do things of me. His family was not accepting of someone being of not Caucasian descent.
Oh,
and
he was white.
He was white. And I will tell you that probably 90% of my life, I get approached by white men. I've never asked out anyone. It's white men that approach me.
Are you engaged to a black man?
Yeah.
Or
I'm engaged to a white male.
I didn't meet him?
Yeah, you met him at the board.
JR, sitting next to me. Remember?
I don't remember.
Oh my.
I need a picture.
But he was deployed a lot. And this is back, he's in Korea. He was in Saudi Arabia. He's like year-long deployments. And I was still faithful. I am not at all that person.
Cheater,
I was 100% faithful, but I was 100% working and doing things. And I actually got recruited out of the bank for my first real thing of doing what I like to do. And that was missing children. So missing children came, and the guy would always talk to me at the bank, and he's like, look, I want you to come work with us. I want you to be part of our national marketing and fundraising
children.
Yes.
To find them.
Of finding them. But how they do it, like the milk cartons and all of that, it's programs. So they go into communities, they raise money, they set up stores, they educate the public. And he's like, I think you'd be great. And
I can so see that. That's
so
cool.
That's where I first got my marketing opportunities and learning. And I was part of everything they do. And so I took over doing that. And so for the next 3.5 years, I traveled from Atlanta all the way to New York. And I'd go every 3 to 4 months to a different city. And my job was to go in, hire the whole staff, set up a fundraising office, teach them how to go out and raise money, teach them how to do educational programs in the community. So we would do fingerprinting, free fingerprinting at schools. We do educational videos on, how to teach the kids not to talk to strangers and these different things. And so
what a cool job, though.
It was amazing.
Wow. So were you able to find out if kids were found and stuff?
Oh, yes. We had numbers and we'd have areas. And so you'd know, I'll just use Atlanta. In Atlanta, there are 387,000 kids missing right now. Here's the top 25. Here's how many were found last month or last year.
Would that actually be a real number, like that many?
Yeah. Yeah. But some are self-reported. Some are kids that have run away.
Right.
Some are parents that, I know my kid ran away, but I really do want to know if they're okay.
Right.
Or what they've done. A lot were children who were abducted before we really ever started paying attention to it. Because what I will tell you is for poor families, if somebody comes and, what's a good word for it? I'm going to take your kid and they're going to come work with us or do this. And then they just don't bring them back.
My goodness.
It happens. And then for beautiful blondes who just get taken. kids.
I thought she got taken
Yeah.
one time.
What?
Sure.
But when you went to the school for a
Oh, the
babysitter,
babysitter.
that was so scary.
My
My
poor
gosh.
mom.
Oh my god,
They
that's
took
another
you?
story.
Well, the babysitter took me to school because
No, she was
Wow.
supposed to go to school. I dropped her off there, and then I was supposed to pick up an hour later. The babysitter took it upon herself to go home with her, and no one told me. There was I go back there, and she's not there. No one knows where she is. No
I
teacher.
think my mom
no-
was running up and down the
I
hallway
was having a
screaming.
nervous breakdown.
But I would say there are so many
Oh, I
different
remember now.
So
Oh,
many
they're so cute.
Yeah, Kimberly's showing her fiance.
I don't know if anyone can see it. They're so cute.
So there are so many different categories of people that of why kids maybe are missing. I used to always challenge the numbers, you know. I'm very conscious of it, but I learned selling and marketing. I would go into, I could walk in a studio like this and I'd be like, this is a nonprofit. This is what we're doing. We have opportunities for people to make contributions so that we continue to put fingerprinting programs in school and raise money and continue to have teams that go out there, because things people don't think about when a Amber Alert goes and they ask a community to go out and start looking for people. They feed those people. They, you know, make sure that they have flashlights, all that comes from community donations.
Right.
So that's the kind of stuff. And so when you tell people that, they all want to be a part. So I'd be like, it's a $10 donation. You'd be surprised how many times people be like, here's $100.
Right. I
Right.
can see it.
And
I mean,
then
that's-
we'd have T-shirts or different things they could get to say they were part of the solution, not part of the problem. My one joke used to be, I wonder how many times I've said this to someone who maybe contributed to the problem, and they were like, all right, we got to change our plan there, you know.
yeah.
But it was great. I traveled all over. I've lived in so many different cities, and I met so many different people, and I had to get very good at taking no's. It was like, okay, next
Yeah.
person, okay, next
Right.
person. I built up to the management training program, and then I was given a permanent location in Connecticut.
Oh,
Random.
wow.
Random.
Where it's nice and cold for you.
Exactly. Milford, Connecticut.
And
Oh,
now you're not near the love of your life, or did you not go?
Well, he was overseas.
Oh,
I went.
okay.
I went. And I actually had a partner who was a mother, had a husband, and 3 kids. And
Oh, wow.
so we were supposed to go up there for 3 to 4 months, get it all set up. And,
In Connecticut.
In Connecticut.
Uh-huh.
Milford, Connecticut, where there's probably 4 of us.
Really?
4.
Not many black people there? Really?
They feel like Waco.
No, Waco's got a
Worse.
little bit of it. So literally, I always tell people that I went into like a couple stores. Like Milford has maybe a little more, but all of the community around, because Connecticut is where a lot of people who work in New York live, and they just drive over.
Okay.
And so I'd go in places, and the immediate statement would always be, "You're not from around here."
Oh, wow.
And I'd be
Is
like,
it that obvious?
I know. I'd be like, what do you mean? I've been your neighbor for, and they're like, you have not been our neighbor.
Wow.
So it was obvious, you know, and I think even back then, you're talking 97, 98, I was living in communities where I had a pretty good salary and pretty good money, and people just weren't used to that. And I'd even heard certain communities in Connecticut, they would bus in minorities, Black, Hispanic, Asian, even some whites, to do the work, to work in the common stores because people didn't.
Wow.
So it was interesting. But then it got cold, to your point, Spider. It got real cold. And I was like,
I'm not staying here.
not staying here. It was a great experience. And then even my partner, her family was just, you know, was too much for her husband. And so we were like, we love this, but let's come back. And so we came back to Atlanta. We ran the Atlanta branch for another year. So it continued to be a great opportunity, great program. Still to this day, it's probably the best way I would ever teach anyone sales, is you learned everything: marketing, sales, demonstrations, all of that.
It's kind of a non-threatening sales training, I think. That and even though you get no's, I think you get more yeses than no's, I would think.
1 out of 10. I would
1 out
say-
of 10 yeses?
1 out of 10 is
Even
a yes.
with missing children?
Yeah. It's about 1 out of 10. But you get bigger. Like I said, 1 out of 10, and I was asking for $10. Very seldom someone just gave you 10. I would have corporations who'd write $500 checks because it's tax deductible. You know, we were always well identified with all of our documentation, everything. So it was a non-threatening thing, and it made people feel good.
You're right.
They were like,
To
man.
give back,
Yeah. So now.
Go ahead.
Oh,
Sorry.
no, I was going to say
saying-
now you have so many charities,
Yeah.
which is awesome. There's a lot of need and a lot of different things. But I think for businesses back then, there wasn't a lot of stuff
Right.
out there to be a part of.
Now take us a little further. Like, I want to know. So you did that, and then you came back to. Did you come back to Fort Worth, Dallas? Or?
So the way I got back through Texas was again a man, but not the same man.
Okay.
Isn't
Isn't that funny how that works? I'm in the United States because of a man.
Right. But it's funny. It's like, so I was there, and as you said, I've been faithful and good. And then it just came to, while I was working for missing children, there was a guy who was like, look, you deserve a man here taking care of you. He was saying all the right things. I, in my head, was like, man, I'm doing all this stuff by myself. I want a guy here taking care of me, taking me to dinner, doing all these nice things. So here was someone in my ear telling me what I wanted to hear. And I will call him my devil.
Oh, shit.
Because
Oh,
the
you have
devil
one.
always tells you what you want and what you want to hear, but he doesn't do what you need. And so he was my devil. I still never cheated. I just began to look at everything and said, maybe I knew that maybe this wasn't the guy I needed to marry, talking about the guy I'd been dating for 5 years. But I didn't have a reason to leave. It was comfortable. So now I was being presented with the reason to leave. And I was honest with them, and we had our own little things, and so made the decision to end it and started dating this person. And we dated pretty rapidly because it was like, I only saw him on weekends. I was traveling still. He was traveling. And we'd come on weekends, and he'd make it perfect. Here's dinner. Here's this. And I'd ask a few questions. And even when I saw things not right, I wanted so bad. By this time, I'm 25, 26. I want to be married. I just want it to be right. I was like, please just be perfect.
You ignored some red flags.
Oh, I ran them over.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
What? Tell us.
I like you said, the person who, shows up at 3 a.m. or calls you at 3 a.m. and you've been calling all night, like, oh, my ringer was off.
No, it wasn't.
Your ringer wasn't off, and we know it wasn't off.
You
but
just accept that excuse.
You accept the excuse.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
I'll go with that.
I don't want to look like an idiot, so I'll go with whatever excuse you go. And I'll even make it better in my head. I'll twist it. And so there were all these red flags, and then he was just kind of emotionally closed. And I was like, but it's okay, because I'm ready to be married. It's okay. And so I pushed, and I just went along with it, and we're getting married. Oh, yay. Call my mom. We're going to get married.
He had proposed?
He had proposed. We're going to get married. I'm ready. Now, I had been ready because I'd been ready for 6 years with the other person. So I was ready for marriage, but I wasn't ready for him. So I go ahead and I get married.
Oh.
Yeah, get married. I mean, we planned it out, had a wonderful wedding, spent lots of money, and whole 9 yards, probably 20 to 30 grand. I know. Did it all. And I knew I wasn't in love. I knew it
At what point?
the whole time.
Oh. But I mean, after you got married. Like, when did you have that, like, okay, never
Did you
mind.
know while you were planning the wedding and all that
Yes,
stuff? Yeah,
but I wanted
but
to
you
have, I wanted it. I wanted to have this beautiful wedding. I wanted to do all this stuff. I love the dainty girl. Like, if somebody was getting married every weekend, I'd be excited because I just love all of that.
Yeah.
I love that happiness, that joy. And so my father stood at the back of the chapel with me, and he goes, if you want to run, I'll hold the door. And that was like our little joke. But again, it was my dad when he said, you can go to UCLA.
Oh, yeah.
It's my dad always saying, I see you where you are.
Yeah.
I have chills right now. It's
I
because
know
of that
what
because he knows you so
knows
well,
me.
and
He knew, but he was like, I support it.
He
If
did it
this
so
is your
sweet.
decision, We support you.
Mm-hmm.
But just know it's okay. And so I went ahead. I got married, got pregnant very quickly, and thought it would be okay. He disappeared wedding night.
What?
Damn.
Where'd he go?
I don't know exactly, but I'm gonna say he said that the best man had a flat tire and was stranded. Yes, I know.
Sounds like one of my exes.
I was just gonna say, is his name?
Yeah. And he had to go help him. I'm assuming the bachelor party was still going on, and whoever girls they were with, they went back to hang out with. Who knows? Yes.
Your wedding night?
Yes.
What's Stella? This
Yeah.
That would have happened to me. Actually, 2 of my exes did that.
Oh, we can one day say, I think most women have a checklist. It's, how they say all the things to do by the time you're 30. It's all the types of men you've dated by the
Yeah.
time you're 30.
That's a
It's
good
like,
one,
it's like,
should do
a
that.
cheater, a liar, false
Yeah. Yeah.
There's all of them.
Disappearer.
Yes.
Disappear.
Yes. And so I knew. Why was I kidding myself? I knew.
So how long were you married?
Right at a year. So we had 3 domestic violence incidents.
So he was
Tell-
abusive.
He was hell of abusive.
Tell us about that.
And his hell of abusive is because he had secrets that now you're married and there's someone in the house every day, all the time. And you don't want those secrets to come out. And remember, I'm a perfectionist and I'm paying attention to everything. And I'm like, why are you in there so long? Why are you in the bathroom? What's happening here? What's this?
What are his secrets?
His secrets were alcohol. His secrets were sex addiction. His secrets were drugs, heavy drugs. His secrets were a business with his best friend where they literally, people order the pizza and they are ordering other stuff. And I was not that
Drugs?
person.
Like a drug dealer?
Yes. Drug supplier, I would say. Heavy into everything. And here was me, goody two shoes at the
Yeah,
time.
since I never drinks, never does anything.
But you
Was
know
he
what?
white or black?
He was white. Chaos needs comfort.
Mm-hmm.
We as women provide the comfort that men are seeking a lot of times, and especially men in chaos. So they're like, they want to be normal. They want it all to be okay. And it's like, look at her. She's awesome. If I go there, it'll be comforting. It'll be okay. But what we as women have to realize is we never can bring comfort to them. They can only bring chaos to us.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And the chaos came, and the chaos came quickly. Our first incident was in a parking lot. I think he wanted to go somewhere, do something, whatever. But he basically beat the crap out of me in a car. And
Were you pregnant?
I was. And people around us see just, and they pulled him out of the car, held him down till the police came. He got arrested. And here was me like, I don't even know what to do right now.
Right.
I was like, I'm not bailing him out, so don't feel bad. I didn't bail him out. But I didn't know where to go. I couldn't call my parents. My dad would flip out and probably drive to Atlanta and kill him. I didn't want to tell my mom. I just was stuck.
Mm-hmm.
A few friends knew. I had an uncle who lived there that I waited a few days where you couldn't really see bruises and everything. And I showed up at his house and said, we're having marital issues. Can I just stay here? I think my uncle knew,
Mm-hmm.
but he never asked. He just was wonderful, him and his wife, and they took care of me. That was my uncle, Billy Norris. He just took care of me. And then 6-7 days later, my husband showed up at the door with flowers, and he was like,
Crying?
he was like, I just had a bad day. And again, we make excuses. I was like, okay, I get you. You had a really bad day. What do I want to do? I'm a Christian. I don't believe in marriage. That's what in divorce. That's what I had told myself. I don't believe in divorce. So Kimberly, you got to fix this.
Mm-hmm.
You got to make it work. And I just thought, okay, God, you're going to make this right. So I leave, I go back, and it's maybe a month or so
How
later.
far along are you pregnant?
I ended up delivering before the second incident. So I have a newborn before the second incident. So we're like third, fourth month marriage when the second incident happened. And
Wait, I'm confused. Were you pregnant before you got married?
yes.
Okay.
Probably.
I need to add all this up.
Yes.
Okay.
So we got married in July.
Mm-hmm.
This second incident was November, December, because our son was born in October.
Okay.
And he was preemie. So
Mm-hmm.
basically he strangles me with the telephone cord, head through a window, and our neighbor calls the police.
And what was the reason?
Just
No
mad.
reason.
He wanted to go out.
And
He wanted to
yeah.
go. And I'm presenting a challenge. Like,
Well, you
where
have
are you
a baby.
going?
Yeah.
We have a brand new baby and you should be here. Why are you trying to? And he's trying to get to whatever. And so at this point,
And the cops come again?
the cops come, but he's gone.
Okay.
And they're just like, do you want to file charges? What do you want to do? You know, at this point, it's like, I'm like, I want to get the hell out of this marriage.
Mm-hmm.
So I begin to check everything on getting a divorce. How do I get out? You know, I'm like, I'm just going to be a bad Christian is what I thought. Everyone's just going to have to be mad. I'm a bad Christian. And
Now, are you heartbroken? Are you crying? Are you
No,
Are
I'm
you
like,
getting mad?
I'm mad
Mhm.
because I didn't grow up like that. My dad isn't that person. You know, I'm like, this isn't okay. It's like, this is not what my reality is supposed to be. So at this point, I'm like, time to get out. And I tell him, I am divorcing you. I'm taking everything. I'm going to whatever.
Good.
You're just da-da. And he goes to work and shares this with a coworker. He's like, and this was 100% God. To this day, 100% God. He shares this with a coworker, not even sure why. And the coworker says, hey, if you really want to save your marriage, why don't you let us get involved? And it's like, it's called The Rock in Atlanta church, and we can come out. I can bring some in and we can just spend some time. You can tell her. And so he knew for me in my Christian faith that if he's trying and God's involved, I'm going to listen. So these guys come and they're going to do a group with them, and I have to leave the house. So I leave, and they're talking to him. And out of all the people in this big church, they picked the 5 guys that came. 2 of them went to high school with him in Georgia. So I'm not from Georgia. And they're like, she doesn't know you, does she? He had a fake diploma on the wall that said he had gone to college.
What?
He had graduated from alternative school. He was completely a fraud for me. So everything he'd ever told me was a lie. He was somebody who did drugs and was a heavy drinker in high school. He was someone who sex perversion was a part of their life. All of these things that I knew nothing, and they confronted him. That was God. And now it was all told to me. So now for the
You know
first
everything.
time, I know everything and I know who he is. And they're like, we'll work with y'all. We're going to put you in counseling. We're going to do all these things. And they did. They even moved somebody in our house to kind of help. But it didn't work. Because as one of the counselors said to me, when God has a plan, you got to get out of the way sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
And we as women stopped that plan. I thought I was the angel in his life. I thought I was going to help him and save him. And even to the point, if you call in sick for someone because they're drunk, they're hungover, they're whatever, and we're like, oh no, I'll call your job and tell them you're sick. We're enabling them to continue and not letting God's plan. And so the counselor said to me, he said, Kimberly, I usually don't really tell people this, but you're on the train trying to stop the train. You need to get off the train because the train's going to crash. And you're not doing anything for you. And that was a lesson that I have to kind of revisit from time to time.
Mm-hmm.
Because I destroy me a lot of times trying to save others.
That's me too. Big time. Yeah.
Like, and it's where, you know, as we get to what I'm trying to do now. It's really understanding that I was trying to be comfort, but all I was doing was taking in the chaos. So our final episode was a knife to my neck while washing dishes. And and just so y'all know, after the first one, I started making a plan. I was putting a little bit of money aside. I was kind of kept clothes at another person's house that if I ever needed to go, I was ready. I do advise that to any women who find themselves in a situation that you may not know what to do that day, but you still should kind of plan ahead in case. He came up with a knife and he just put it to my neck and he just superficially cut. But he said, just know if I ever really want you dead, I can.
God.
I bandaged my neck. I finished the dishes. I grabbed my son. And it was probably an hour and a half later.
You said nothing.
I said nothing except I was going to get milk. I
Left.
walked out the door. I went to the friend's house, grabbed my bag. I called my parents and I said, I'll be dead by the morning if I don't leave. That was the first time my parents knew anything.
What your parents were like, what the hell?
My dad said, we'll get a plane ticket. I got a plane ticket and I flew home. I was home for a week. That's how I got back to Texas. And I still have a hard time telling them everything. It was so emotional. I started to give them a little bit and they were just like
Overwhelmed, I'm sure.
overwhelmed and just like, how could you not tell us? How did we not know? Calling my uncle in Atlanta, like, what in the world is going on? And I knew when I finally told them, it was done. There would be no going back. We all have people in our life that if we tell them the truth, we know it's over. Right.
For me, yeah.
So if you go and you start telling her the truth, you're done. There's no more.
You're almost doing it for yourself.
Yes.
Making sure that you can't go because you don't want to, but maybe you don't know if you are strong enough to. So by telling, you're like, well, now I've told her everything.
Right.
Yeah.
So now let's go. So my parents went back with me, at the end. I think it was 2 weeks. We went back and got my stuff. That was it. We went and got my stuff, took a trailer, got a trailer when we got down there. All of our stuff was packed, and I came back to Texas. And
Was he there? Did you see him again?
No, not at that time, but he did. My understanding is right after we left, he checked in a rehab. So he checked into a rehab. I came to Texas. I reestablished myself. I filed for divorce, but you had to be here for 6 months to actually do everything. I filed for divorce, and I was determined. I said, this sucks. I did not want to be a single mom. I was like, I'm black, and now I'm a single mom. I already know what everybody's going to think. They're going to just, every statistic in the world, they're going to hang on me. I was like, and literally, we can get so caught up in what we think everybody else thinks that we don't do what's right for us. And I was like, I had to get to a point that didn't matter.
Yeah.
I was alive. Me and Blake had a chance at life. It just didn't matter anymore.
Now, is he involved in your son today?
Now.
Now.
But that was we did all the things. And when it went to court, we filed. No response. They filed for it was like the 90 days. 89th day, he replied to the court and said, I'm challenging for custody.
Oh, my God.
And I'm thinking...
It's like laughable.
Yeah, he wasn't the smartest guy, it sounds like.
Oh, no. And so they did. They came to Texas, and they proceeded to say that they could offer a better life. So we have a mixed child who looks white or Puerto Rican on any given day, that they could offer him a better life because that they were white and there were more privileges.
My goodness.
It was presented out there, and
It's unbelievable.
the
Yeah,
judge
it's
went
crazy.
through a lot of stuff, and there was a lot of things said. At the end of the day, my lawyer was like, this young lady over here has a college education, and we'll get a good job, and we'll take care of her son. She's never done any drugs, no alcohol. And matter of fact, let's go ahead and submit a drug test for him.
Right.
And he did. and he failed.
Right, of course.
Oh, that's so smart.
And we got custody, full custody. He got supervising rights and was ordered to pay child support and the whole 9 yards. And, you know, if he wanted to visit, he could visit, you know, and they gave him a schedule, and it would be at my parents' house with all of us there. Needless to say, I think he came 1 year. The first year he came once, and then we didn't hear from him anymore. Until 2 years ago. So a lawyer found him, and we pushed for the 16 plus years of child support that hadn't been done. And so we're still actually going through all of that right now. But yeah, he completely, no contact, no anything.
Which I would assume maybe is better, because I feel like to have someone, you hear about this scary stuff all the time, like even if it's at your parents' house and supervised, like people are crazy. Like that he could come and do something to your whole family even. It's scary to me.
For at least 6 years, and I wasn't always at my mom's. I was there for just about 2 years before we ended up moving. I would stare out the window at night.
Yeah.
Because I kept thinking he's just going to show up and kill us.
Yeah.
He's going to show up and kill us and not have to deal with it. And you'd hear all these stories of men who didn't want to pay child support or do anything who would just kill him.
I know.
And I just, so much. And so I absolutely thought like that. I probably still do. I think he's well aware that, you know, I don't see much reform in him, but that's, you know, neither here or there. So I just tried to be a good mom. You know, I was blessed. Again, God has looked out in weird ways. When I said, man, I don't want to be a single mom, I started off working in a shelter, and it was for runaways and juveniles who get in trouble, and CPS kids and everything. And so it's a really well-run shelter in Fort Worth called The Bridge. And we were there. You have the kids, you know, all hours. So I did the night shift and the day shift, and it was really great working with them. And I realized this is who I want to do. I want to be
still helping people.
Yeah. So I started back working on my master's, and I started at Dallas Baptist University, and I wanted a counseling degree, and I wanted it in behavioral counseling, but I also wanted biblical sense, because I believe you have to be able to meet people who are Christians and not. A lot of the things for me do go back to a religious belief, but they don't necessarily have to be that for someone else. So I wanted to be able to interpret it both ways. So I started doing that. And right as I started school, my first semester, I got something that I did say yes to, which was I got hired by Procter & Gamble Pharmaceuticals. And that took me to Corpus Christi. So I had a 1.5-year-old child, and we moved to Corpus Christi.
See, you got prepared for all this moving as a child.
Exactly.
Because I mean, that's amazing.
Yeah. So we went to Corpus Christi, and we were in Corpus Christi, Texas, and I started my pharmaceutical career, and I absolutely have to tell you, Procter & Gamble was the right place. It was gentle, it was kind, in a big, crazy world of pharmaceuticals. You know, I was back at water. Corpus Christi's on a bay. Being from California, love that.
Awesome little town.
Yeah. And
I like that town too.
And I covered the whole seacoast all the way up to Houston. I'd go all the way down to Allen and Brownsville, and even into Mexico, which was always fun because you get to the border and they'd say, you know, you have to declare everything. And they'd say, do you have any weapons, drugs, or fruit? And I'd go, yes. And they'd be like, you have weapons? No. You have drugs? Yes. They're like, you have drugs? Yes. I have a trunk full, which I did, because I'd have a trunk full of pharmaceuticals, Prilosec, Metamucil, all of these things. And they would be like, so they'd bring the drug dogs, and you know, and I learned that a lot of pharmaceutical reps used to smuggle back across.
Oh, wow.
Because we've already declared that we have drugs, and coming back, they used to not sniff their cards because they'd be like, oh, we already know.
Oh, wow. That's so crazy.
Yeah. I never got in on that, but I'm definitely not ready for anything. But yes, so that was, we'd go over to the communities right there along the border and supply them with the pharmaceutical drugs. So But I loved Corpus. To your point, Spider, love the community, love the people. I'm still very good friends with most of the people that I knew there and the doctors, and it was great. I really, again, honed some of those marketing skills and sales skills to build my brand. I went to a territory that had like a 3% market share. And between me and my partners, we were able to get it up to a market leadership. And so I got a promotion back to Dallas.
Oh, wow.
So,
Back and forth.
yeah, 2 years. And then we were back here in Dallas where I built a house. So me and my son bought a house. And
Good for you. Look at that single mom go.
I know. And, it's funny. It was important to me to show my son, that we were okay. We were a family.
Yeah.
Because that was where I was struggling. I was like, what is family? And I think that's a definition that holds a lot of people in a place of unhappiness. We're like, well, I'm not a family because it's just me and my wife and we don't have kids. Or you're not a family because you're just a single mom, or even just a single, that's not your family. I've had friends who are family. I have,
Me too.
there's so much more to that definition that I think where people hold it, it's sometimes a lot of pain.
Right.
So we built
I think family is what you make.
Mm-hmm.
You make your own family, and if you're a single mom with a son, that you make a home that is loving and wonderful, then that is such a much better family than if you stayed in an abusive
absolutely
marriage, So it teaches your son so much more for
Agreed.
his future, actually.
And it's funny because there are people early in my life who became my family that I would think most people would be like, oh, that's a little odd. Again, I worked out at Marketplace Gym over in Las Colinas. And there was this group of guys who worked out there every day and really became our family. And I can say their names, they don't mind. Chad Gonzalez, Mylan Rainey, Nick Soto. These three guys
Why does his name sound familiar?
well, because they were dancers at La Bear.
Oh,
I didn't know it at the time. I know, very.
still, why does this name sound familiar to me?
Well, they were dancers at La Bear, but all I knew was they worked somewhere at night. Like I thought they worked at a bar or something. And I had a really good friend. I'm just going to call her Jay because I don't know if she wants everyone to know, but she is a school teacher. And me and her would work out. I'd get off work and she'd go off work. We work out. And we became really good friends with them, and did not know what they did until a friend of ours was having a bachelorette party. And she was like, we're going to this
That's how you
place.
found out.
Yes. Well, they told us because we were talking about it, and it was about 6 months in, and they finally told us, and I was like, but we went, and a unique friendship developed amongst all of us. Always. Like, we can go there and they won't dance for us. We're not really who they dance for, but we are who they were family with. And they used to dress me. So I would tell people I was plain, ordinary, really hadn't found my love, and for myself, because I was still punishing myself.
Mm-hmm.
I still didn't feel worthy. And so they would have me bring outfits. And they would say, wear those jeans and that top and wear this jewelry, or not
Are they
do
straight?
this. They are straight.
Did they dress you today?
They still will be like,
Because you look so cute.
They would be proud of me today.
You
Very
look
much.
so cute.
They would literally be like, you're showing too much there, or you're not doing enough here. They took a true love in treating me like a sister. And they're like, we see women every single day. We know what's attractive and what's not. And we really want you to feel good. Even if it was they would have different fashion, like where we did a chain on the jeans or sparkle on this.
I'm shocked that these are straight men.
They are super straight. One's almost married. The other one is married. Well, two of them are married.
Wow.
They are but they are bedazzled. I mean, they do take it to a new level. Like
They don't. Do they dance still?
No,
Oh yeah.
none of them. And so it's funny because through them, I met a lot of girls. So when you were talking about girls who were strippers or exotic dancers or even centerfolds, I met this whole group of girls who I don't think any of them are dancing now.
Yeah.
Like, we all became such a community of love for each other and honesty that I never once went to them and said, you should not be dancing.
Right.
But gradually, a lot of them were just like, hey, look, there's other things I want to do. And I think
Usually,
yeah. And so to your point, when you were talking about in the boutique that it was a safe haven, I want to say me and Jay were a safe haven for a lot of them, that we were able to be their friends. We weren't judgmental. And a lot of those people said, you know, I'm dancing for a time or for a moment or for a reason. And now I want to do something else. And we're all still good friends now.
That's awesome.
You know, but they are definitely my family. I don't care what it is. And it's funny because I remember at one point I had someone say, do you realize who's on your Facebook or that you're friends with these people?
I hate when people say stuff like that.
Judgment.
It's so rude.
And I would be like, you do understand that, first of all, I don't care what happens in my life. I don't care what scandal somebody wanted to say or do. They would never judge me.
Right.
They would never forsake me. Those are the people who will always stand by my side. I said, some people who have these picture perfect lives
Yep.
are the first ones to burn me, to hear a gossip,
Judge you.
and be like, oh, yes, I knew it. Kimberly was this. And I'm like, really?
I know
Isn't
it.
that sad?
It is.
I think that's so sad.
So, but I am blessed with a very diverse, rich community of friends. I can tell you, even I have a couple other really good guy friends, one from college, Dan Moore. He's also top lawyer in Dallas. Yes. And then, you know, I have really good friend, Steve Dietz, who runs 900 Pounds Creative. He's the one who did the running wall in the museum at the bottom. If you've ever done that in the Perot Museum.
I've not been there yet.
No, me neither.
You've got to go.
I do want to go.
You got to go. But we've all just always looked out for each other. Like, even through the successes that people attain, through the heartache in life, they know that there's a true love. Like, we just see through all the other stuff. And some of these guy friends were the main ones when I've gone through heartbreak or things have happened, or I can make a post on Facebook and they'll call me up or send me a message and they'll be like, are you good? Do we need to show up?
Oh,
like,
that's sweet.
you know, and you need that. So to your point about family, my son got to see that family was a community we built around us. And when his father did come back in his life and wanted to be a part of it, he was the one who said to him, you might be my dad, but there's been men in my life teaching me the whole time.
Oh,
How old is your son?
He is 19
Oh, gosh.
and a freshman at UNT.
Wow.
Who, it's pretty funny, when I told him I was going to be on here with y'all, he went and did all this research. And he was like, okay, Mom, they need to boost this, but they're really good here. And this is so...
Oh, I want to know all of it.
tell us.
Because he is a sports broadcasting journalism major.
Oh,
like,
It's a good school for that.
yes. And I tried to make him go to Baylor, but he picked another green, and he did it for the right reasons.
He picked another green. After the show, maybe you can send me all he says.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
we
would
want
love
our
that. We
notes.
want to know.
He was so funny. He was like, did you look at this? And what are y'all going to talk about? And he said, they're kind of sassy. And I said, well, then they are perfect. I was like, because I'm sassy. He's like, I know.
That's perfect.
Yeah.
That's
I was like,
why we fit with you so
yeah.
well.
I was like, is that good or bad? And he's like, you'll be good, Mom. He's like, you'll be good.
He's like, you're just a sassy mom.
Yes. So
So fast forward a little bit to you're engaged now.
I am.
Take us through that.
So I'd given up on men because, and not like a man hate, just like I'd gotten to the point I don't believe anything anymore.
Right.
And so I was, I don't know, probably just blowing off steam, I think. And I went on Plenty of Fish.
Okay.
Just being dumb, looking at, I was like, lie.
I feel like we should tally how many people get on a dating app now, like, and find someone.
Well, my profile, I'll let y'all see it. I don't even know if I can pull it up anymore, but my profile says, let's cut through the bull. the truth is, all you want is a girl who's great in bed, can make a sandwich, and, and leave when she's done. And I said, if you want to know how much of that's really the truth, I guess hit me up. But just know I'm not here for games. I don't play any of the bull. Like, I was very just like
brash.
Yes.
Yeah.
I was just like, I really don't have time for this. I'm not interested, but here it is. And we connected. And honestly, neither of us believed each other. I didn't believe his pictures were real. I was like, whatever.
Catfish.
I was like, I had already been catfished kind of from someone that I was like, who when I really found out who they were, I wasn't going to go on the date. So I was like, there's no way this guy looks like this. And on mine, he goes, you're probably not who you say you are. You're probably not even black. He's like, I was like, you're right. So our first meeting was literally, we got tired of each other lying. We were like, you're lying. You're lying.
I'm going to prove it.
Let's prove it. Let's meet up. And we ended up talking the whole night.
Oh, and
How long ago?
Yeah.
That was last March. And
Oh, wow. You got engaged fast.
we did. So that was last March. And I remember as the night was in, night, early morning, and because he was in Waco. And I thought, all this time, never met him. I was at school there, never met him. Come to a million football games, never met him. God's timing is right. And so I remember sitting there and I was like, well, I guess I'll talk to you in 6 weeks. Because I was like, okay, he really is who he said he is.
Yeah.
And he's got like 500 people messaging him. I probably won't ever see him again or whatever. I leave and he texts me as I'm driving home. He texts me later that day. He texts me the next day. And he was like, what's the chance you'll meet up in Hillsboro and let's just eat? So we met up in Hillsboro 3 days later and hung out. And then the next weekend he came to Dallas. And so we kind of just jumped into it and started going. And I think for both of us, it was like, I wasn't looking.
Right. They say that's always when it happens sometimes.
We weren't looking, but it fit and it was right. And we just kind of started going. And then a point came where we were driving back and forth. And it was like, I wasn't moving to Waco.
Right.
Because I was working for the film company at this point. And he was like, my job is I'm out here by Lake Whitney. It's okay. I'll move to Dallas. So at that point, the decision was, does he get an apartment and I get an apartment and we keep paying this rent? Or do we just kind of see if this works?
Yeah.
And it was funny because my son was a senior in high school. I had never had a man stay with me. Like that was my big thing. As I wanted my son to treat other women how he saw me being treated. And though I'd made mistakes in dating, my son never woke up to anyone. So I was very careful about that. And so it's like April, May-ish, and we're having the discussion. He's coming up for the weekend. He's going to go to the hotel. And my son says, Mom, I think it's okay. I think I kind of know this is the guy you're in love with.
Oh, that's very fast.
But I hadn't said anything. Like at this point,
He knew.
He knew.
Oh.
And I was just kind of like, and I was still playing it cool. I was like, no, we're just hanging out. And he's like, yeah. And so it was probably right at the 1st of June that we had the moment where he kind of said it, where he said, I think I'm in love with you. I just want to be with you. Because another girl was kind of making the move and had made a point to contact me and say, I think that, he likes me or whatever. And I was like, that's okay. I'm fine with that. I was like, I had told myself that this wasn't going to be anything. So keep it very casual. And he was like, what are you talking about? You're the only girl I want to see.
Oh,
You're it. He was like, if you need any more, whatever, he's like, no. He goes, I sat there all night with a crowd of people talking about you. And she got jealous because you're all I talk about. He goes, and then at that point, he started sending me all the posts because we weren't friends on Facebook. I'd made a point. I'm never being friends with a guy I date on Facebook because you learn or see too much.
Mm-hmm.
And so he started sending me all these posts he'd made about me.
Aw.
And I was like, okay, that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
And so we just did. And so at that point, he moved down, and we actually moved to Addison. And so we got an apartment in Addison, which was near our jobs. And you know, like any young couple, there are struggles,
Yeah.
but there's more glory than there is pain, for sure. Definitely more glory.
And you know the difference, so.
I do. And he is definitely my soulmate. And he is way more adventurous than me. He's definitely lived a great life and tried everything. But to meet someone like him, and he is 40 years old, he has never been married.
No kids?
No kids. Like unicorn.
Yeah.
He's taken ladies, sorry. Unicorn. But he is just such a great man. And something that I hadn't asked for, but I wanted. Remember I said before, the devil will give you what you asked for. God will give you what you need.
Mm-hmm.
I needed a strong man who was grounded in the Bible.
Mm-hmm.
I never asked that of him. But he was the person who had that biblical background. His family actually was Catholic and still is. He is the baby of 7.
Goodness.
Yes,
7.
7.
Oh my gosh.
A lot of kids.
All married, great families. His father is actually one of the famous cowboys from the 60s and 70s. So, yes, his father was George Andre from the legendary Doomsday Defense of the Dallas Cowboys.
Dang.
So he stood right next to Bob Lilly for 12 years. So
I don't know who all those people are.
when
sure
the Cowboys,
Oh, yeah.
when the Cowboys became the Dallas Cowboys,
Was that like Tom Landry
America's
and
team,
stuff?
yes,
Oh, back then. Okay.
yes, he was part of that.
Oh, wow.
So
That's.
rich history, rich
Yes.
legacy. And as JR puts it, he won't mind me saying, JR was the black sheep of the family, the wild child who loved life. So
He's the baby of 7. They
Yeah,
let him
right.
there, like, do whatever you want.
and so he is definitely that child who ran off and did his thing and came back. And so I say, well, I got the benefit of that.
Yeah.
Because
Exactly.
when he came back and was ready to have life and stuff, we're living it. And so we got engaged in Vegas, so that you know,
Wow.
When
We-
was that?
in end of July, 1st of August.
Okay.
So like July 31st, I believe was the date. I have to go look in
So
that
you
back.
guys were together, what, like 4 months, 5 months?
Yeah.
When you got
Like,
engaged?
Did you
Yeah.
know that he was going to propose?
Actually, I thought we were going to get married. That was the
Oh,
plan.
my gosh.
That was the plan.
Wow.
So the plan was, and there was a reason behind it. His father got sick, really sick, and was in and out of the hospital throughout July. And he is the baby of 7. And he was like, I want my father to be a part of me being married, of knowing I'm married, knowing I'm with. He's like, you are the person.
Mhm.
I know you are. And I didn't have any doubts. I had married him back in March. I was like,
Just knew right away.
I knew. I was like, whatever the struggle, whatever the pain, whatever the things you got to go through, this, I knew.
We're going to make it work.
We're going to make it work. Like, this is a person. And so we had kind of told everyone, I think we're going to go ahead and do it. It was a family reunion for me. So my family was going to all be there. And we kind of talked about it and said that we want to do this so that his father had that. Right before we were going, I guess his father and his family kind of had a discussion, and he said, I really want them to also be a part, so maybe we're going to do it afterwards. But he had decided he was going to propose.
Okay.
So, but he didn't tell me. I like literally brought all the documents thinking we were going to get married on Sunday. So I thought, we're going to get married. We're going down there. It's Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, do all the family stuff. And on Sunday, we'll get married. So I'm kind of prepared, and I might have told a few friends, so I was ready. And so Saturday night, he had already worked out a plan with my family that he was going to propose. And so he was going to propose at the family dinner. So we're sitting there. He's got a ring in his pocket. I don't know any of this. He's got a ring in his pocket, and they're doing, and another family member stands up and says, I've got a big announcement to make, and proposes.
Oh my gosh.
Yes.
Took his proposal.
And I don't know he's going to propose.
He's
but
like,
I'm
damn
like,
Oh my gosh.
and everybody, like my son, my sister, they all know. So they're all like scrambling and trying to figure out. And I'm just like, oh my God, that's so awesome. Look, they can get married tomorrow with us. And he's sweating and I can't figure out why. I'm like, dude, it's awesome. Aren't you excited? And he's like, yeah. I don't know. So they had come up with, we were going to be doing something after dinner that maybe might present an opportunity. Let's just wing it. So we finished dinner, we do the family picture, and then we decided to go out into Vegas to the graveyard. I don't know if y'all have ever been there. So in Vegas, I tell everybody, check this out. It's called the graveyard. I can't remember the exact name, but it's basically the graveyard where every single sign that has ever been in Vegas is taken.
Oh, okay.
It's where they take everything that they take down, the pirate ship.
I've heard of that.
And you can do a tour. So you go and you do a tour and they tell you about the history of the signs and here's this.
Yeah.
So we're all walking doing this tour and then they have an outside park where they do a light show with it. And they basically do song and stuff and you're sitting in like this park area and it's all around you like an amphitheater. And they're doing all the lights and stuff. And one particular part of it, if you see on my pictures, was the chapel. So they have the chapel and they tell the history of people going there to get married and why everybody calls it Vegas and the marriage. And so at that point, I guess him and my son decided that's our spot. That's what we're going to do.
Right at that moment.
Well, they just knew. Like you couldn't interrupt the show, but it's like they knew that's where we're going to do it. And I'll find the picture for you. And so they had decided this is how, hey, just hang on. This will be your thing. So everybody does it. They finish all the stuff. And basically, not sure why my phone is oriented weird right now. But so after the show finishes, they've got all these lights and stuff. And everybody's taking pictures. Well, we go up by the chapel signs because I'm thinking we're getting married tomorrow.
Right.
This will be cool.
Oh,
I'm like, this will be cool. So we're taking pictures by the chapel and love and whatever little sign. And my son's like, Mom, you're blinking, which I do. I blink all the time.
like
I always like blink or close my eyes on pictures. And he's like,
the pictures.
so he says, close your eyes and count to 10. And then when you open them, it will
Take a picture.
we'll take a picture. So I'm like, 1,001, 1,002, 1,003, doing this. And everybody's gathered around because he's on his knees.
Oh, that's sweet.
And when I open my eyes, he's right there. And I'm like, what in the world? I like look down. I'm like, oh. And he proposes.
Oh,
that's so sweet.
So it worked out perfectly.
So
So
sweet.
that's where he proposed. And then a lot of people were like, oh, y'all got married. So we didn't. And he explained to me that he wanted to wait and do
A wedding.
with his family. And I said,
Sure.
not a problem.
Do you have a date?
Our date was June. And our date changed twice. So the first time the date was, we hadn't set a date. His father got sicker. We went to the hospital and we were going to just get married in the room. His dad talked to me and he talked to him, and his dad told him, she loves you. I want you to do it the right way. Plan it out for yourself. If I'm here, I'm here. And we thought that he was going to, maybe we could do it in a couple of months. His father passed away the next day when we took him home. So that was hard, and that was a lot going on for the family. And so we had planned it out for this June. We're probably going to back it out for some reasons, but nothing to do with him. He's still amazing and great. It's more just finding our destiny, but I know I'm with the right person. So I just got to find the plan or the plan. But yeah, so,
It will all happen.
So
That's
that
awesome.
love worked its way, but it took a lot. Boy, I've definitely dated the list of guys of different things, and definitely had to make decisions, and you never can figure out why it wasn't right. Like that was my big thing. I'd be like, this is the right guy or the right moment or whatever. I'm like, why is it not fitting?
yeah.
Why does it not work? And then it just,
Sometimes hard. It's hard.
Relationships are hard,
Yeah.
and when you find the right one and you can work through it, I mean, normal things.
Yes.
I always say it's very important that the issues you have are easy to fix. When they become big, then, I mean, I am with you with the Christian thing and you shouldn't get divorced, but there are definitely reasons why you should get divorced. Sometimes people don't get divorced that should, or split up with a boyfriend that they should.
Yeah.
But we have to kind of move along a little bit, and I just wanted to know if you feel comfortable talking what happened with the film company and all that, because I think you said you got the woman empowerment. You're all for that, and we are too. And sometimes when women hurt women, it's even worse. I don't know why. Sorry, Spider, we talk about that sometimes, but it is because you feel like you have a sisterhood and they would never do that to you. So
I ended up at the film company kind of looking out for another friend. I have a dear friend. Her name is Kristen Montero, who in January of last year, her son was killed. We're coming up on the anniversary on January 30th. He was killed, and I was trying to find something for her. She's a graphic designer, and I was like,
how old was his son?
19.
What happened?
A car going the wrong way hit him on a motorcycle.
Oh.
Okay.
He was on a motorcycle?
He was. And in trying, again, I was at the point, me and her had done a lot of business ventures. She's been at the boardroom. She is an amazing creative. She does graphics. She does podcasts, radio. She just creates all this amazing content. And I was sitting there and I was kind of still doing my stuff. Groups would bring me on to market for them or help with sales or help build their business and their brand. As I said, I was doing a lot of stuff for the NFL. I had a side medical device business. I'd kind of gone full circle in the medical. And we were both just kind of there. We had just done a major camp for the NFL and we'd done every aspect of it, helping. And then this hit and I was like, what do I do? How do I keep her from being stuck in her pain? Right. Stuck here. And I was like, if I can get her on, and the film company was looking for a graphic designer.
Oh, okay.
They were looking for, and I was like, hey, can she, she's going to need a job or
she
something.
Needs to be busy.
She needs to be busy. This is life altering. And I didn't even see for me where I was still stuck and struggling and didn't have anything. And when I met with them, they said, they're like, well, she would have to come here and work here because everyone has to be here. They were like, but what about you? You're the one who's been sending us business over the years or helping us out with different things. And we'd really like you to come on board. We need salespeople. We need people to help with, bringing in partnerships, bringing in sales, helping us fundraise, things like that. And so that was at the time that I met the director. And I also met the business consultant who was a woman. And so I met them where they were at. They said they had a need for sales and marketing. I can do that. At that time, I was presented with this awesome opportunity. So I came on board to the film company. And then, do you want me to keep going? You want me to?
Well, I think something happened rather quickly. I mean, you thought this was a great fit, and then
I thought it was a great fit. We were working on a film that was to come out later in the year. Turbulence hit that had nothing to do with me for the film company. We were under the direction of Randall Reed in August of that year. So right as I got engaged, I get back and I'm notified that Randall Reed has offered, what I'm told at the time is Randall Reed is...
Who is Randall Reed?
He's the car guy, right?
Yes, the Ford dealer. So Randall's awesome. Randall and his people are awesome. But Randall had made a decision to go a different direction. So the film company had been under his direction, and it was for the purpose of doing a film called Operation Torrent. At that point in time, Randall Reed decided to move a different direction, and I was notified that the director, Matthew, and the business consultant, Liz, were taking over the business. So me and the other employees were simply told that a buyout was offered. They're choosing not to do the buyout, but they're taking over the business and going a different direction. At the time, I thought that was awesome. I thought, oh, we're going to get to go, kind of like y'all say with your show. Hey, we have no more strings. We're doing what we want to do. We're going to go get more things and run that way. It was quickly figured out that probably wasn't a good thing. That in this case, the direction of Randall was much needed and important because that kept uniformity, and it also made sure we were following all the rules and stuff. So within a couple more months, the director was dismissed for things that, dismissed for cause, as far as I know. He was dismissed for cause by Liz Mahoney, who was the owner. And then shortly after that, we began to find out that there was a lot of inconsistencies. And for me, it was personally devastating because I wanted so bad to back a woman. Yeah. I put my everything behind a woman because she was the owner of the new business, and I wanted 100%, I think, to see me succeed. I think I have to be honest. I wanted me to succeed, and I wanted women to succeed. And so I put that into her. I was like, whatever I got to do to boost you up, I will do. Unfortunately, I think she said things that were untrue about herself. So people started to check them.
That's the worst.
It is. So, and I have some really great mentors here in Dallas who I think want me to succeed. And they get really upset with me because I tend to take all of my talents and help everyone else and not just do it for me. Mm-hmm. And those mentors were like, Kimberly, what are you doing? Like, you have the power. You understand the direction. You've dealt with some of your past things and can move forward. Why are you being led when you're meant to be a leader?
So you parted with that situation.
I'm in the midst of parting with that situation.
In the midst?
Yes. Mainly just because the business isn't really following the practices that I think you should be following. We are not following through with sponsors on stuff. The employees weren't, being paid, which led...
It's kind of important.
I'm not a furloughed government employee, but I feel for them because, I was at 3 months.
With no pay?
Yeah. Yeah. Of doing a lot of work, of doing, even when we did the women's empowerment luncheon, paying things out of my pocket that the company was asking. And I still was backing the woman. Like, I'm lifting her up. That's how I saw it. I'm lifting her up. I'm helping her build this business.
It'll come back around.
It'll come back around.
Yeah.
She's got me. If she says she's paying me at the end of the month, she's paying me at the end of the month. And eventually we're now at the point where we're probably going to have to take legal action because, to my disappointment, what I heard was, when we finally demanded the money, well, we don't need you here anymore.
Of course.
And then it was, you didn't do a good job.
Of course.
And I was like,
regardless, you still did work and you have to be paid for that. Like, doesn't matter.
And like you said, it's so disappointing. Like, I almost, no offense, Spider, if it's a guy, you're like, whatever, I didn't sleep with you. That's why that's kind of what we do in our head.
Yeah.
When it's a woman, you're like, do you understand that if I hadn't backed you, you wouldn't have gotten this far?
Does she have money problems?
I would say yes.
Because otherwise...
Numerous employees have not been paid.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Numerous things. So, and that was for me one of the falsities was that she put out there that she was a millionaire and that she's an accredited investor.
Well, she was on the at the boardroom giving advice.
Yes.
Yeah.
So for me, and that's the watch out, that's one of the biggest things I'm trying to learn moving forward is how do you... And I'm sure for y'all, we all know the other investor and he's qualified. You know he is who he says he is. He's got his money. But how do we watch out for that? How do you figure out if somebody is what they say there is? Because I'm such a nice person and that's my naivety. I don't want to run a background check, but you have to almost.
Well, also the people who give or say they know how to do something and help you, and then you've wasted time and money with these people who don't know what they're doing. I think it's the same as the investors or whatever it is. It's I don't even know how. I guess background check. Yeah, you have to.
Detective Gomez. We'll just go put him on the payroll.
Oh, do we have one? Look,
yeah.
From
Oh, yeah.
cheaters.
From the TV show.
yeah.
You know, Tommy's one of my good friends.
Oh,
Tommy
really?
Habib?
Yes.
Oh, really?
So Tommy, back in my NFL days, working with, which I still work with the NFLPA, NFL legends, NFL alumni, helping them do charity events, helping them do any kind of marketing with the community that builds their image. Tommy is one of my people I would bring out all the time. So we do stuff.
Funny.
All
We
the
love
time
his
too.
wife. We're friends with
yes.
the wife. So I know. Did you want to make that announcement about your business? Or
Well,
no, not yet?
yes.
Oh yes.
So
you
I'll
go
make
right ahead,
for
so
two of them.
we can end the
Yeah.
show on that amazing note.
So there is no point in having pain if you don't have recovery and victory. And for me, as painful as this incident was, I learned a lot at the film company. I learned a lot about in business, but it just pushed me to understand where I really want to be and what I want to do. So for me, you know, I announced on Martin Luther King Day, I was like taking a leap of faith that I am going back out on my own. And I really took the time to find a business name that fit me. So I launched my Out Her Mind marketing
Okay.
and services. And what that is a play on words, obviously. When the logo is out there, it's out, OUTHER, mind. Her is bigger in a different font because I believe brilliant concepts, ideas, and creativity come from the minds of women. So everything that we do, all the people that work with me are women. And I want to specialize in helping women businesses, whether it be with
awesome.
strategy, whether it be with marketing tools, whether it be with events and services. That's going to be our specialty. And the way that I'm going to really announce that is you're going to have me back on the show. Because I've already bought the brand name, and we are going to be launching a brand, kind of our Nike, for women. And it's going to incorporate all the things we've talked about. And my goal is to help women have something that meets you in your pain and takes you through your victory. And I think that all women, professional women, need this because we are taught. I even went to a seminar once who said, leave all your woman drama in the car, roll it up in the window. And when you get out and go in the office, it's all left behind.
All your woman drama.
Well, my woman drama creates some of my best ideas.
Same. Yeah.
It is all of me, my sparkle and my shine. And I have a sign on my wall that says, women who are doused with glitter leave a trail you can always follow.
Love that.
And I do believe we as women need to start leaving a trail for other women and encouraging and meeting women in their pain and bringing them through to recovery. So about March, we will be launching a brand that will encompass a lot of things. And I'm excited. And there's definitely something off air we'll talk that I want y'all involved in. I'm ready. I wasn't ready before. I thought I was through many different trials and ventures. But God said, I'm testing you. And I failed many times before.
But I can see you being really good at being your own. You don't have to work for anyone. I feel like you have all the experience. You can definitely do this. You're prepared. All this stuff has prepared you for it. So we are going to thank you for coming on today.
Yes.
We're definitely going to
Let's
push
have you
it.
back,
And then we'll have you back when you're ready to launch the new women empowerment.
Yes. And there's room for all women. We just want every woman to be supportive and not be so hater-ish.
Well, I think women need to know it's a level field. We can all rise together. It's not stair steps. And if you are on stair steps, it should be hand up and hand down.
Right.
You know, and I'm very big on that. I'm very involved in the community. I'm very well connected with a lot of women groups, you know, and I'm constantly, you know, and my mentors, I have some men, but most of my mentors are women.
Right.
Who are encouraging and teaching and training and you know, we got this. So
I love that.
Thank you so much for coming out. You were amazing, Kimberly. Thank you.
Give her social media.
Oh my gosh! Yes,
Oh,
please
no.
give us all your
I'd like-
social media.
I
Tell
don't
us-
even know all mine yet, so they're
Okay,
still
you wanna
coming.
wait
So
for
yeah.
I can
the
type
best.
it.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.